Hi students, welcome to Unacademy YouTube. I hope you all are doing great and in good health. So today we are going to take the psychology class on the methods on inquiry in psychology. Let me also quickly start the YouTube session and see how many of you have joined. Okay, before anybody joins in, let me tell you that methods of psychology's first class, I had already told you the basics. This is probably the second class, although I'm going to take one more class for this chapter because this chapter is firstly a little lengthy and it is not tough, it is easy, but I think you guys need to know more about the important Q&As of the chapter. So hence I'm going to take one more chapter probably tomorrow or maybe one more class of the same maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow. I think mostly tomorrow I will not take it. I'll take it day after tomorrow. So meanwhile, if you study the chapter and if you have any questions which you would like to ask me or which you would like to note down and ask in the class, please feel free. Before we start, Urmi Live is my code which you can use to avail any sort of discount if interested. A little about Unacademy Plus subscription. Yes, I am aware that all of you know about the Plus subscription, but it's my duty to inform you about the same. First thing is that, guys, we are giving you daily practice sections, and as you know, that not just for class 12, but even for class 11th, it is very important because this is your base, okay, through which you form your main ideas about the concepts of class 12 gets clear in the same. So because it's the base and because you guys need to start preparing right from now, it's always good to be on board and learn from the top educators, where we are giving you an exhaustive coverage of syllabus. We are giving you unlimited access to the courses, where you can have counseling sessions, where you can have championships, which we already, we have already told you that we have so many things for you guys. All these things are under the umbrella of Plus subscription. Moving ahead is the latest, actually a little old now, the baby of Unacademy, that is the Iconic subscription. In Iconic, we have brought it for the people who find it very difficult for group studies. So this is especially for those people who want a personal mentor and who want a personal guide, to train, to take you through the tips and tricks, or give you question and answers, and give you basically the entire schedule as per your availability and as per your ease. Okay, so this is going to be having it will have all the benefits of Plus, but yeah, the live doubt clearing sessions, a parent's contact, you will have a personal mentor who will help you through all these things and guide you through basically. Okay, now there are some upcoming batches which are starting, which from the December 21st, we have already started recently, where the batches are ending in the March 5th. That's 2021. And hi Rakshit, welcome, very good afternoon, welcome to the class. Okay, so these are basically known as the prime batches, which we have began with the 3 months course period batches for class 11th. This is basically for you to ace your final examination. Okay, so all the amazing educators from business studies to maths to English to accountancy and economics, we have regular Monday to Friday classes, so you can have a look at the same. And this is for you. That's one batch. Another batch is also commenced, which is again a CBSE batch for the science batch, okay, for class 11th. Similarly, we have started with a doubt clearing session batch also, in which Vikas sir, Surya sir, Vani ma'am, Juhi ma'am, all of them are together taking the board examinations batches for class 12. This is one more thing, all right. And as you all know, that we have also come up with the batches for class 11. That's for you guys, okay. So go ahead and check out the physics, biology, maths, and chemistry batches with Indrajit sir, Prakshi ma'am, with Rahul sir, and Umesh sir. So these are basically Indrajit sir's batch is basically Thursday and Friday. Prakshi ma'am takes on Monday, Tuesday. Umesh sir takes in Tuesday and Thursday, and Rahul sir takes it Monday and Wednesday. Okay, so go ahead and check it. All the things are already present on the Unacademy Learning app. If you have not downloaded it yet, go ahead and download. Um, Ma'am, you teach any other subject or any other classes? Yes, Rakshit, I take sociology, psychology, and entrepreneurship for class 11th and 12th. Okay, so yes, the upcoming events are of course Unacademy Ascent. As you all know, that this is a championship which is for class 6th till 12th. So you have a chance of winning um, an absolute 5 lakh rupees every month, and there are ultimate scholarships which are provided here. So go ahead and check it out, and make sure that you can check the entire thing. You can use my referral code, that's Urmi Life, to avail a description a subscription for uh, probably from the first month to 24 months. It's completely in your hand which one you want to take up. The subscription prices are going to be increased very soon due to an amazing response, and hence I would request, if you're still not taken any of them, go ahead and check them out. We also have a no cost EMI options available. So you can get a 10% discount by using the code Urmi Life. This is for class 11th. Plus, you can also use it for class 11th Iconic. You can use it for class 12th Plus, and also for class 12th Iconic. Some amazing stuff are going to happen very soon. Basically, we are coming with class 11th and 12th Pen and Down. Now, Pen It Down is basically a test series, okay, from accountancy to business studies to economics, history, pol science, and geography. We are starting it from the 9th of Jan, that's 2021. So make sure that you enroll for the same, and go ahead and check it out on the Unacademy Learning app. Same, we are having one for the batch of class 11, 12, and 12. That's basically for the science students. That's physics, chemistry, maths, and biology. That also commences from the 9th of Jan. And if you're interested, go ahead and check it out. And even for this, you can attend and enroll yourself to the plus course, and you get a straight 10% discount if you use my code. That's Urmi Life. Now, to begin with our chapter, okay, like I told you even in the previous classes, that method is, what is a method, what is inquiry. Psychological inquiry is about knowing if the person has any problems, if a person is going through any issue, if a person has some major, problem, in order to show, if that person is going through a major hurdle in life, how will you actually detect about that person through data? How will you do that through defining structures? And all these things, basically the structure which I'm talking about, happens when you identify focus of research, Okay, when you develop a research question, when you know how to define a term, and also when you try to understand and establish a sample. For every single research you need some data. How will you prove that a person has issues, a person is going through some mental problems, or a person is going through a major issue which he or she needs to work on? Or how will you interpret the same? When you basically gather the data and go ahead and check it out. Now, what are the goals of scientific inquiry? See, always we remember one thing in psychology which is very important, that psychologists try to find out a common phenomena which we call is the goals of inquiry. Now, what do you mean by the goals of inquiry? Something where you reach across a point where you know the plus and minuses, when you know the positives and the negatives. It's a diverse field, right? Psychology also exists in diverse field, and there are many psychologists who are studying for the same, who want to know things, who want to devote their time in understanding people and their thought processes, or what we call is the cognitive process, which is a very important part and parcel. Now, the important way of explaining the goals of scientific inquiry very well can be explained in the way of description, explanation, prediction, control, and application. Now, why do we start with description? Can someone think why do we start with description here? Because when you decide about a psychological goal, when you probably discuss about an issue which a person is facing, the first thing that comes to your mind is description. Okay, you lead to description, and probably you go to an explanation where you try to control it, where you predict things, and then you would like to apply the things. Now, every single time we have discussed this chapter, I have told you that description is a major part where you try to understand, and your attempt is to understand the behavior or the phenomena, okay, as accurately as possible. Okay, this helps you in understanding. You don't have to read anything, just listen to me. Okay, for example, if a researcher is interested in observing a study habit of a student, he or she will always understand and know why a student is getting up early in the morning, whether he's a student who's performing well, who's constantly practicing things, whether he's planning his schedule, whether he's trying to give his best shot, whether he's submitting all the assignments on time. Why? Because that person wants to know that every single minute description here is basically done to understand the meaning of the term, which is basically description, where the psychologist wants to know that this is a goal, or like any other scientific research, description is a major goal through which you understand the perspective of a person and his or her thoughts. Next is prediction. Prediction is something which is basically about assumption, something which you're trying to, it might be accurate, sometimes it might not be accurate. Hi, Deep. Hello, welcome, good afternoon, beta. Sometimes it can be accurate, sometimes it cannot be accurate. It completely depends. Now, when you come to know the relationship of a particular behavior with other types of behaviors or events or phenomena, you can then forecast that under certain conditions, this particular behavior may occur to a certain margin of error. When you are presuming things, when you're assuming things, when you're predicting that, oh, he might be having a depressed phase, okay, he might be going through a bad time, you're predicting, right? It's a kind of forecast you're doing when you forecast about the weather. Similarly, here the example which the psychologist has taken is basically a researcher is able to establish a positive relationship between the amount of study time and the achievement in different subjects. Now, what is the prediction which this guy is doing here? Prediction becomes accurate when the increase in number of persons observed. When you're observing people, the more people you observe, the better understanding of points you get. Because psychology is mostly a cognitive process which is basically about thoughts, minds, and the process you tend to understand and realize why. So this is a main thing where you are explaining, where you're understanding what is the basic of study, what is the basis of study. Psychology is about description, psychology is about prediction. It is a goal of scientific inquiry. Moving to the next one is explanation. Now, of course, when you are having a description, when you know certain things, when you are predicting about it, you need to have a third goal. Third goal is explanation. How will you explain the condition of a person when you don't know, what is happening behind it? How will you test the person's behavior if you don't know the primary factor of explaining the same, or how it is occurring to the person? So psychologists are primarily interested in knowing the factors that make a behavior occur. And why does that happen? Why do they make a person understand that why does a behavior occur? Okay. Now, when we speak about the explanation, certain times I have realized psychologists need to understand why is it happening with you. If a person is not trying to study, if a person is not trying to, devote less time into study, then there might be a reason behind it, right? We always say that the student is not interested, the student is scoring less marks. Have you ever come across a time where when you have asked the student that why are you not interested in studies? Why are you not trying to pay attention towards your class? This is the place where you need to find out what explanation means. Please remember, this is a goal which is concerned with identifying the determinants or antecedent conditions. Now, what are the conditions here? Which leads to a particular way and format of a behavior, the way you react, the way the behavior is reacting, how you are taking about it. Okay. Ma'am, your class should attend by more and more students. Yes, Rakshit, absolutely. There are students in the Plus platform. Apparently, psychology has been one optional subject which most students need to know, and there are very less students who are still aware of it. So I'm sure they will, and there are many students in the Plus platform who have taken up psychology. So thank you. I hope you are understanding what I'm teaching, beta. Okay, so this is the goal which is concerned with understanding a person's behavior, that why he or she is behaving like this, why is it occurring in this format, why is it established in this particular way. This is basically the major idea behind explanation, which further leads to control. Now we always say that, oh, our behavior is like this only, we are very angry. Now how will you control your anger? If you're able to explain that why a particular behavior occurs, then you will be able to control it. If you know that you have anger issues, you have temper problems, then you can control it. But if you don't know, how will you even try? Hi Ayush. Hi Jai Mahakal Ayush. How are you? Long time beta. How have you been? Ayush, you don't come for the special classes. My book is launched. You don't ask me. You don't come to the classes. That's so sad. I miss of course पहचाना बेटा. How are you आयुष? मैंने 9th 10th पढ़ाना क्या छोड़ा? You don't come only for the special classes. अब से आऊंगा. चलो, great. So Ayush, now Urmi Ma'am is also a verified educator on Plus. You know that? And also the book which I told you guys is already out and it's on Amazon also. So go ahead and check that out. Okay, Ayush? Finally, Urmi Ma'am's book is published and it is out and it's there. All good, beta. I'm doing great. Ridan keeps coming to the class. Say hi to Nitaj if you come across and meet him in any class. Thanks, Ayush. So good to see you, beta. I'm so happy to see that you came. I hope you're doing good and I hope you're doing safe and I hope your family is good. Thank you for joining. All right. Chalo, coming back to the track. So Ayush is one of my oldest student, and he's one of the cutest student who came to say hello. And yes, I'm happy. Okay. Now, control basically is about when a person tries to understand and when a person has seen a behavior the way it occurs. Okay, you can control that behavior by making changes in the antecedent conditions. Why? When you know about it, it becomes very easy for you to control something. You can make things happen, you can control it in such a way that you can stop doing things which becomes bad. That's nice. Great, Ayush. Congratulations, beta. Your coding thing is finally working. Very good, very good. Okay. So yeah, for example, you can allow the number of hours which are devoted to study to be the same, or you can reduce them. You can increase them when you feel that, okay, no, I'm not able to study properly, I'm not able to get good marks, let me control this and let me do things better way. You can control it, and for that control, which leads to the final goal of the in scientific inquiry, is basically the application. What? Which is bringing out the change, the positive changes in the lives of the people. Now, psychological research is very well conducted to solve the problems in various settings: daily life, people who are facing issues, people who are, trying to meditate and do yoga, okay, and all these things where they are trying to understand the reason behind all of it, which is, uh, you know, sorry. Okay, so this is very important for you to understand that psychological application is about a person where that person is trying to apply these things to solve problems in a various kind of setting. Because of these efforts, the quality of life of people are a major concern. Okay, now this is an important topic. Okay, 3,300K download. That's nice. Congratulations, Ayush. Very good, very good. Lovely. I'm so happy. Very good. Keep it up. Keep it up. Okay. So this constructs the psychological research, constructs things to help people solve their problems and conduct their, you know, what do you call, quality of life in a better way, which is a major concern of the people. Not just this, there are different steps in conducting the scientific research. Now, the last class also I told you that the classes, the methods which we have taken in and which we have seen in psychology plays a very important role when we discuss about the research, how it is being done, how things are being investigated. So the scientific method attempts to study a particular event or phenomena in a very objective, systematic, and testable manner. Why testable manner, guys? Because the objectivity here refers to the fact that if two or more persons independently study a particular event, both of them, to a great extent, should arrive at the same time to the conclusion. But here we have different characteristics which shows that why the systematic procedure of these steps of investigation has a different kind of conceptualization behind it. And any research without conducting data cannot be completed. Hi Alok, very good afternoon. Welcome, beta. Okay, any sort of data without investigation, without a proper research, we cannot come to a conclusion. Even for a research to happen, when people are doing a proper research, they definitely need to redo things to know whether it is successful or not. Sometimes a research is done successfully, sometimes people try to redo things and revise the entire research. Why? Because they feel we can add this point, or this point is missing. Probably we can help understanding these things in a better way, or in a much more better concept. So these are few things which are a major part of the steps in understanding the scientific research. Now, the most important thing here is conceptualizing a problem. So what is it? So process of research begins when basically, imagine I want to do a research. The first thing I have to do is I have to take up and select a theme. I have to then know why am I trying to do a research. What is it going to be my experience here? Okay, why? This is basically done where you are giving the review of past research, observation, okay, personal experiences. All these things very well can be coming under the concept of, conceptualizing a problem or an issue a person faces. Now, for example, you can take up the habits of students. You can observe the habits of the students. Okay, all right, Ayush, thank you, take care, beta. Okay, now he or she may identify different facets of study habits, then decide whether he or she is interested in study habits shown at the class or the home. So, this is one basic angle. Second is data collection. Of course, collecting data is very important. Without data, how will you have the statistics? How will you have the graph? How will you know which person is trying to say a yes or trying to say a no or trying to say not agreed or trying to say neutral? For any sort of research, data collection requires a blueprint or a design for reading out things as a study. It can be graph, it can be numbers, it can be depending upon the nature of the study. The researcher has to basically decide that who would be the participant or the informant in the study, who will be giving him or her a scope of understanding what research is, whatever research is. Okay. Next is drawing a conclusion. When you're doing a research, you need to come to a conclusion as well. You need to come to a conclusion as well. So, how will you decide that? Okay. And when we say that you need to come to a conclusion, you also need to understand that this can be achieved through pie charts, this can be achieved through diagrams, through cumulative frequencies, through statistical methods. Okay. Hi, Abu. Hello, Abu. How are you? Good afternoon. Welcome. Okay. So, the purpose of analysis here is to verify a hypothesis and draw conclusions accordingly. This is very important, guys. Very good afternoon, beta. Welcome. Next is after the entire thing, revising research conclusions. I told you, some people do a research and they leave it halfway, some people finish it, and after that, people realize, no, I want to learn more about it. And they know, they try to read it again, they try to phrase it again. So here, the researchers may have, begun to the study or the hypothesis which exists as a relationship between all of them. You must have seen how we feel that, viewing television can create violence among the students or the children. They can be aggressive. Why? They are looking at something, they're observing, and they're trying to, do all of it. So don't you think that this is basically when you're reading about an hypothesis? Don't you think you can reach to a conclusion when you're observing things? Don't you think you have seen the students doing it and, performing it in day-to-day activities, and then you're deciding why the students are becoming like that? Why television is creating a major impact and a negative impact on the children? This will help you revise or state an alternative hypothesis or theory, again, which is based on a test or which is based on a research, which is being called as revising the research and getting into a conclusion. Next important thing is alternative paradigms to the research psychologist. See, guys, we have seen many different goals of inquiry or the methods of inquiry in psychology. But what is important here is the study of overt and covert behavior, external and internal feelings and experiences. Okay, it just does not focuses on your personal feelings and experiences. It is more than that, which can be measured, which can be observed, which can be predicted. So basically, the key assumption of this view is that human behavior is very predictable. Of course, it is predictable. Something happens to you in your family today, everybody knows that, okay, your mood will be off. Why? That is the beauty of psychology, where we understand things beyond mental thoughts and processes of your behavior. This is how we observe, this is how we measure things, this is how we restrict things. And for this reason, you need to understand what is the importance, what is the prime importance of understanding psychology. Now, nature of psychological data. So, of course, we all know that a researcher attaches meaning to the data by placing in proper context. Now, today, if I'm collecting a lot of data, if I don't structure the data and put it, properly, how will you understand that why have I written, yes, 75%, no, 55%, or 22%, or 1%, or 10%? You may want to consider how psychological data are different, which is compared to the other sciences. Okay, there are different methods. There's a method which is called as a data, which can be singular or which can be datum. This is there in your book also, where you verify an opportunity, where you falsify your ideas, okay, create notions of what you're thinking. So there is a different process of data collection in altogether. So in other words, data are not independent of the physical or social context, but there are the people who are involved. There are the people who have given their concurrences and thought processes. That's an important segment, which is very important for you to know. Okay. And also in psychology, there are two things which are important. There are different ways of data collection. First, a demographic information. Demographic, the word itself tells you that it is about, the number game. It is about size. It is about birth. It is about the number of children. It is about your locality or the residence. It is about occupation. It is about your marital status. It is about your family occupation or income. Okay, these play a major role, and demography itself means numbers, the study of figures, the study of numbers. Very, very important for you to understand what do you mean by the term demographic, and how would you basically structure the different types of data collection or information which are collected here, which includes age, gender, birth, order, number of siblings, etc., etc., etc. Okay, now this also consists of the second category, which is a physical information. Now physical, of course, it has a lot to do with the nature, with the ecology, with the conditions near us. Sometimes you might be staying in a very hilly place, sometimes it's a forest, sometimes it's a desert. How will you understand the mode of economy there? How will you understand the transportation? How will you understand housing conditions there? What are the facilities which are available? What is the neighborhood? What is the way of commuting? Is there a school? No. Why? Because it has a lot to do. Even your environment, technological or the ecological factors play a major role in psychology. It does have a different impact on your thought process or your minds, because it has a lot to do with cognitive process. I hope it's clear till here. Moving to the physiological data. Okay, in some studies of physical, physiological and psychological data are collected about height, weight, heart rate, level of fatigue, galvanic skin resistance, which is also known as GSR, electrical activity of the brain, which is measured by EEG, blood oxygen, reaction, duration of sleep. You all know that if we don't complete a proper sleep of 8 hours, it becomes very difficult for us to have a good day. We feel tired, we feel exhausted. We cannot give our best shot. Why? Because we have not had adequate sleep. Which leads to the fourth point of psychological information. Here, it is completely related to your intelligence. It is related to your personality. What are your attitude? What is the behavioral traits? What is about your interest? What do you value? Your creativity, your emotion. Why are you motivated? What demoralizes you? How are you subjective to consciousness or you're not? Etc. So the above of all of this could be from a point of view or the measurement somewhat which is very crude. You can definitely say it's bland, crude, because It can be high, low, yes, no. There are different ranks which are provided to measure and judge the same. We usually tend to keep a verbal diary, or probably have some reports or observational records, archival data in which we show that what is the kind of situation we are going through. Such types of information is analyzed separately using a qualitative method where you have all the data, you want to tally and you want to know more about it, which takes you to understand that in previous section you definitely read about the variety of data which you're collecting in your psychological studies. But these data cannot be just collected in a single method of inquiry. You need a variety of methods. For example, observations. I told you, experimenting something. You can have a correlational way, you can have a survey method, you can have a psychological testing, you can have a case study. Ultimately, your data collection cannot just happen with the question and answer form. It needs to have different kind of research purposes, and it can have different kind of strategies of collecting the data, or collecting the uh, variety of data which we are talking about. So any questions still here? Let me just have a look at the YouTube. Hi Durga, very good afternoon. Lovely way of saying. So, moving ahead with the kind of observation which I told you in the previous section, we studied about the variety of data, that how we collect the data, how we are basically dividing the data into different structures, how we are basically understanding the, uh, you know, purpose of data collection or the methods of collecting. But there are few important parts which are observation, experiments, which are correlational, surveys, psychological testing, or the case study to collect data. But now here, okay, I explained. Hello. Now here we have different or different kind of purposes of collecting the data. Now you can observe the behavior of someone who is probably watching a football match. You can conduct an experiment to see whether the children who are taking an examination, are they trying to do better in the exams, or when they are studying or not. Okay, these are basically the ways where you can explain things in correlated way, or you can explain what is self-esteem. Okay, you can survey about the students, you can understand what is the attitude of a student, what is about the privatization of education. You can use psychological tests to find out that what are the individual differences between people. Okay, case studies, why people do case studies? Because they want to know what is the background which has happened. Okay, the background basically decides your purpose of a research. So methods of inquiry is not just subject to a psychological testing, but it also definitely has a thank you explained. So I hope you learn from the best teacher who can explain you it in the right way better. Okay, so this is very important for you to know that a development of any sort of psychological strategy or a way or a process happens only when it is being researched with proper data collection, with a proper methodology, and with a proper way of executing the same. Now, next leads to the observational method. So, observational method is a very powerful tool of the psychological inquiry. Why is it a powerful method, or why is it a powerful tool? Because you're observing certain things. Anything you observe gives you the right of knowing and seeing or noticing what is seen, what is right or what is wrong. Because you try to observe, you try to be aware what is happening. Now, if you try to understand, an effective method of describing what behavior is, let's take an example that in your daily life, you remain busy with observing numerous things throughout the day. Okay, many times you don't even notice what you're seeing or what you have seen. Okay, but have you ever experienced the thing that you may have experienced it if you carefully observe a person, or even for some time you think that, okay, this has something somewhere I have seen, or this creates a day-to-day observation in different kind of aspects. Now, what are they? First can be selection, because psychologists do not observe all the behavior they encounter. They select a particular behavior of observation. Now, this you have definitely studied in your people who have studied in school, where they have noticed things, that they are spending time with the children whom they love. Because there are two things which are possible here. As a researcher, you have a fair idea about what is happening in a school, or you might prepare a list where you're trying to find out the occurrences, what you want to research about. It's very important for you to understand why. You might prepare a list of activities and go to school with these alternative or these kind of explanations which are required, or you can think about it. Now, selection is completely in your hand as a psychologist. But the second is a recording. What is recording here? Recording is when you try to know about something, when you try to record a behavior, you have a proof. Okay, like if there are any students who are writing anything on the comment section, I have a proof. Their account, they are writing something psychologically, they are posting something. If they're writing, commenting anything, it's a proof, it's a cyber proof that there has been a comment. Similarly, recording is a proof where you're writing something, when you give a detailed hand of symbols, where you are giving a photograph, where you are giving a video recording, etc. Psychologists do that to take the data, to record the data, to analyze it. Analyzing is basically the studying or making an observation. So psychologists, they analyze whatever they record with a view to derive some meaning out of it. Of course, if they are recording it, if they are trying to know about it, they must be doing something in order to find out a reason behind it. Okay, and all these things are very important, because observation is a skill. Observation is a skill. So a good observer definitely knows what he or she is looking after, what he or she wants to know. Okay, which leads to either it's a naturalistic way or it's a controlled observation. Naturalistic is when you're doing things in a real life setting. Example, it is a school in which an observation was made, so it's very naturalistic observation, it's called as naturalistic observation. But if you're doing something in order to manipulate and create what you want to see, maybe conducting some experiment in a laboratory, okay, that can be a reason which comes under the controlled observation. Selective and naturalistic when it is happening as a day-to-day part, where you don't have to strive to create something. Whereas when you're creating something, that observation will definitely go to controlled observation. For example, doing an activity in the lab. So in a participant observation, please remember the observer here becomes a part of the school or the group, which a psychologist is trying to observe or trying to note or trying to notice and observe. The advantage of the observation method here, that it is basically enabling the psychologist or the researcher to study people in their more naturalistic situation or in naturalistic form, the way it is occurring, as simple as that. Okay, we see things as we are and not as the things are. So if you're commenting on someone thinking that, oh, this person is very bad, that's you, not the person. That is your thought, not the person's thought. It is your interpretation, not the person's interpretation. It is your prejudice, your stereotype, your discrimination, not somebody else's. So you are familiar with the popular saying, we think as we are and not as things are. Goes it like that? You will exactly become and behave the way how you are as a person, not how someone else is influencing you or poking you or probably explaining or inspiring you in different ways. So therefore, the observer should record the behavior as it happens and should not interpret the behavior at the time of observation itself. Very important. This takes you to understand the experimental method in psychology. So what do you mean by the experimental method here? Experimental method is nothing but which causes an effect relationship between two sets of events or variables or incidents which are happening or taking place. So it is carefully regulated procedure in which changes are made in one factor and its effect is studied on the second another hand or another factor. Okay, there are different concepts of variable, guys. You need to first understand what is the experimental method, because here a researcher is trying to attempt, okay, a causal relationship between variables. Let's take the variables of x and y. Okay, so what is a variable? It is nothing but a stimulus or an event which is happening. Someone is hitting you, you are reacting to it. What is a stimulus and what is the variable here? Variables are of many types. Okay, you need to understand and focus on the interdependent, or what do you call independent or the dependent variables. That whatever is happening, is it depending on that variable? Okay, so the researchers here basically want to understand that if you are reporting smoking, okay, as a variable, then what is the cause of that variable, and is it dependent on the variable, is it independent from the variable? So the researchers wanted to examine that how the effect of the presence of other people on reporting of the smoke. So what was that? The notice or the trying to observe and read about the variables which are dependable, representing the phenomena or the researcher which desires to explain. And that only happens with experimental situations, which also needs to, you have to realize that independent and dependent variables are very well interdependent. They are interconnected with each other. They go hand on hand. Why? Because neither of them can be defined without another. They have to go through each other. For example, a rat and cat. Okay, no matter how difficult it is to survive, but they go hand in hand together. It's a love-hate relationship. So neither of them can be defined here without the other one. Also, independent variables which are chosen by the researcher is not the only variable that influences the dependent variable, but any behavioral event that contains many variables, either one or interdependent or not dependent. It is about choosing because of the researcher's theoretical interest. Someone who's trying to, understand, someone who's trying to bring out the best, someone who's trying to have relevant or extraneous variables which are influencing. Now, this is a very important part of this chapter in the methods of inquiry, because variables, what are they? Whether they are independent or whether they are dependent, it's very important to know. So, what are the goals of scientific inquiry? Simple answer, guys. I told you we will do a Q&A. So, the first one, so there exists diversity in the types of researches or the studies which are taken by the psychologist. Okay. First is description. This is clear short that it is necessary because any sort of event or behavior which happens, which has different kind of aspects. This helps you to define the phenomena and distinguish it from other phenomena. It makes it very different. Okay. This has a recording. You can have a recording of the event or the behavior, which is an integral part because you need to have a proof. You need to justify the study which you're doing or whatever your projection of the same is. Next is prediction, which means assuming, which means predicting, forecasting of events. It establishes the relationship between two variables. For example, one might say exercising leads to weight loss, but the other might say that okay, why does it leads to weight loss? Can you please justify the same? You are predicting, if I do this, then it will be like that. If I don't do that, I might be failing. These are predictions. So in psychology, all predictions are made within a certain margin of error. They are not always correct. They are not always exact. So any questions or doubts still here, guys? Hi Shrishti, good evening, how are you? Okay, that's great. You've joined really late today. Okay, all right. Next is from from these two. Then it is the explanation, which I told you, of course, that which is the main cause behind the behavior. Okay, it tries to understand the conditions under which a particular behavior occurs. Okay, it is a control which makes it creating the change in the phenomena or the behavior, which leads you to application where you try to put that what are the therapies which are being provided to the individuals. For example, there's counseling to help them. So if you're going through a problem at a file organizational level, there are different sort of counselings which occur to help you to come out and shine as a better human than what you were earlier. That's a very important part. Okay, this leads you to conceptualizing a problem, collecting the data. Okay, and then when you move ahead, it reaches you to drawing conclusion, revising the research conclusions. This is a revision of what I've taught today. Okay, we have already discussed all of these are basically the extra questions and answers which I have given you from the part 1 of this class, and I would be doing another class day after tomorrow on the same unit. Make sure that you attend right from the beginning for a Q&A session of this chapter. the methods of inquiry in psychology. Okay, now there has to be a difference between interview and a questionnaire. This is a major psychological research survey question. What is an interview? It's a face to face conversation or interaction between people. Whereas a questionnaire is basically structured and objective. You can just mark it and submit it. It is comparatively very less skilled that a person can do the interpretation here, whereas an interview, it's very easy, it's subjective in nature, but it requires highly skilled person as an interview because you are communicating with each other. Hence, it plays a very important role. It is about interviews which are flexible. It is that you can have a question here which can be asked, altered, etc. Whereas the other place, noticing these non-verbal cues are a miss out totally. You need to understand what is the major difference between interview and questions. Characteristics of a standardized test. This is, hi Anugya, hello, good evening, welcome beta. Hi Jagriti, how are you? Long time, how are you? Thank you, I'm doing great beta. Hi Ankshita. So good to have you guys. All right. So let me quickly give you a summary of what we have done today. We have already discussed the methods, first half part of it, the entire part. We have discussed a few question and answers. And I'm also going to take one more class for the same class 11 psychology, which is on the day after tomorrow. That's the 31st. Okay. We have a class at 1 p.m. Same, on the basis of this. I'm going to take it. Make sure you are there. Tomorrow I'm going to take a class for sociology class 11th. So if any of you are basically here from the sociology background, join tomorrow's class. And the rest of the things we would be taking tomorrow. Uh, I hope you have any questions. Please to ask me. And is there any other question which you want me guys to take? Please tell me on the comment section that which chapter would you want me to take it for psychology or sociology class 11th, as well as class 12th, and I'll make sure that the next class I definitely take that chapter, whichever you guys want me to take it, whichever you guys are finding difficult. And also for class 12 students and 11 students, please inform your course to your friends. Entrepreneurship course is live on the Plus platform. So you can go check out my Unacademy profile, and the new batches of sociology and psychology also commences from 4th of Jan. Go ahead and enroll for the same, and any questions, please feel free, reach out to us. And I hope you all are doing great, and keep your spirits high and keep performing, keep studying, and keep cracking it. So thank you so much for joining in. God bless, and I'm going to see you very soon for the next class, guys. So take care.